You'll soon be back into the heart of downtown and the business section between the Fortress and Karl Johan's Gate. And the bus stops are very high tech. They have electronic boards at each bus stop that displays with LEDs the time remaining before the next bus arrives and which bus number it is. And this is a busy neighborhood. You can also get around by this bicycle system. You can rent them for a very low price, like you find throughout Europe now. You'll also find an inexpensive hotel in this neighborhood. It's a youth hostel with some of the cheapest rates in town. Well, it's not easy finding an inexpensive hotel in Scandinavia, so you might consider a hostel type operation like this. You can get a private room. It'll cost you about $100. It's small but clean and comfortable and functional, nothing fancy. It's conveniently located in this downtown business district. The tram's going by, or you just simply walk, and you'll find some great stores. Steen and Strom is the largest department store in Norway. They have a whole range of upscale goods, of course. There's furnishings, clothing, perfumes, foods, a lovely interior design as well, and a cafe down on the ground floor. And there's some shopping little mini malls that go through the blocks and some inexpensive places to eat. Here's a kebab shop, the Dennis Grill, and a couple of other moderately priced hotels in this same downtown neighborhood. So this is a good place to stay and a great place to explore on your visit. And just a few blocks over, you'll come back on the main street and then the cathedral. When finished with this old section, walk a couple of blocks inland back towards Karl Johan's Gate to the Oslo Cathedral, the Domkirche, which was originally built from 1697. Today it sits on one of the main squares of town, right along Karl Johan's Gate, 2 blocks from the main train station. The Stortorvet Square in front often hosts a colorful flower market. And across the street is Oslo's largest and best department store, Glas Magasinet, which offers many goods of Norwegian design and is especially noted for high-quality glassworks. Stortorvet, this cute little market square, is just a block off of Karl Johan's Gate, which means that you could easily miss it. A typical tourist would not get over to this part of town, and yet this is really a crossroads of downtown with the big department store on the left and the cathedral in the square. Some items to notice are the bronze front doors depicting the Sermon on the Mount. These doors are somewhat inspired by the famous bronze doors in the Florence Cathedral. There's Adam and Eve. Stained glass windows, carved pulpit, and the highly decorated ceiling. The Oslo Cathedral is not a Gothic structure. In fact, there's nothing left from the Gothic period in Oslo except the fortress, but it was rebuilt in the 19th century. Arcades behind the cathedral host a bazaar and a series of cafes and very popular outdoor restaurants. Artisans present their works here, continuing a tradition that dates back to the Middle Ages. Stables that once circled the square have been converted into attractive shops and cafes. This arcade is another one of the hidden treasures of Oslo that a tourist could easily overlook because you just don't see it from the street. And yet it's a wonderful spot to hang out. It seems like everything is available here. Food, drink, conversation, locals, an outdoor fountain, beautiful architecture, surrounded by boutiques operated by the artisans themselves. It carries on a long tradition of churches being surrounded by marketplaces, and there's also an arcade on the exterior of the same structure. So it's really quite a remarkable building. The internal arcade as well as the outside arcade, which faces right into the busy downtown streets. And it will lead you into a section of downtown that has another great department store. Now when you're in the big department store, Glas Magasinet, be sure to have a look at the food court, which is really one of the best places to eat in town, especially for a casual lunch. The prices are reasonable and the selection is vast, and there's lots of tables here. Glas Magasinet is also a good place to buy your souvenirs, so they certainly cater to the tourist as well as to the local. One of the most famous items you can bring home from Norway is the troll, the little forest people of legendary origins. Easy to pack. You can buy caps and t-shirts and postcards, all sorts of Norwegian goodies here in Glas Magasinet, very popular department store. Yet another pedestrian mall, the Torggata, extends 3 blocks further north from here into another nice shopping area that could easily keep you busy for the rest of the afternoon. The shops along this particular street have a real urban, funky local feeling to them. And especially here along Torggata, you get this nice mix of funky old shops and modern design and sporting goods stores. There's some restaurants. Young's Torget used to be a major vegetable market and a place for political demonstrations. Now these beautiful arcades have got cafes and restaurants. And along the mall there's a little side mall, the Stortorvet, that connects through to another major shopping street. And there's at least a dozen shops, some bars and restaurants and cafes on this little passageway that connects over to Torggata. Now we're in the heart of the real funky local part of downtown Oslo, and other great things to check out. This is a place that a lot of tourists never get to, and yet in some ways this is the real city, so it's worth a look. And then you come around the corner and you'll find a huge modern shopping mall. It's really quite a modern place, and you're going to see lots of young locals out just passing the time of day, as kids love to do in a shopping mall, and folks of all ages going about their shopping business. This is the biggest shopping mall in town. It's just across the street from the train station now and behind the cathedral. It's 9 stories high with a huge atrium in the center, elevators to take you up, escalators, a lovely cafe down at the lower level. Every imaginable kind of shop available inside this shopping mall. Feel like, well, you're away from the touristic center. In fact, throughout Oslo, you really don't feel like a tourist because it's filled with locals and it's really not that big of a visitor attraction, although it should be because it's a wonderful city to visit. But throughout, you feel like you're getting a real genuine experience. Each of the neighborhoods that we've been showing and will show are real local places for local people. And while this shopping mall might not seem huge by American standards, it's the largest mall in the country, in all of Norway. So it's really something to see. And it's just in the middle of the modern part of downtown next to the train station. Oslo has a terrific public transportation system that will greatly help you cover the many sights of town. You can get around by bus, tram, underground metro, or boat. Taxis are available but slightly expensive, so it would be better to stick with walking and public transit, which will take you anywhere you want to go. Somewhat amazing for a city of just 1/2 million, Oslo has 5 different metro lines and 8 tram lines, providing a total of 16 urban rail routes. None of these rail lines are elevated. They're all either trams at street level or underground metro. There's also a commuter train system with rail connections throughout the country. And there are 50 urban routes that are covered by bus. As we roll along on the tram past all these shops, you can very clearly see that Oslo has a beautifully built up urban core, a wonderful downtown city feeling to this place. Easy access to the trams, even for a baby buggy. Oslo's population is only about 500,000. making it the smallest Scandinavian capital. And yet the city's official boundaries sprawl far into the rural countryside for 175 square miles, half of which is forest. And another 500,000 people reside in the surrounding region, the suburbs of the Oslo Fjord area. But with just 4.5 million residents, this huge country, which stretches for 1,200 miles, is the least densely populated European country. Norway is filled with natural scenic beauties. Well, riding a tram gives you a nice, comfortable, relaxed view of the city. Of course, walking is always the best way to see a place, but then you do get tired and you've got to sit down, take a break, or you want to get from one side of town over to the other side of town, and a tram is a great way to do it instead of hiring a taxi or renting a car. And you'll notice there are very few cars in Oslo. And one of the main reasons is that parking is very expensive downtown. So people just don't take their cars into the downtown area. They've got cars, they can afford them, they can pay for the gas, but they can't pay for the parking. There's a lot more of Oslo to show you in other programs, but for now we have run out of time. Thanks for watching.